So you want to land more clients and you know your proposal needs to be good. But the real question is, how do you actually write a social media proposal that makes someone read it and think, yes, this is exactly what we need? Because a proposal isn't just a document. It's your pitch, it's your strategy, it's the very thing that turns a maybe into a yes. Hey, I'm Connie, the social media coordinator here at Sendable. And in today's video, I'm going to walk you through step by step how to create a social media proposal that actually helps you win clients. I'm going to structure this like we're building one together, so you can literally follow along as you go. And if you don't want to start from scratch, we've created a free social media proposal template that you can download. The link is in the description. It's fully editable and I'll be following that exact structure in this video, so you can use it as we go along. Okay, first things first, we're going to work on your introduction. This is where a lot of proposals either feel really strong or really generic. What you don't want to do here is start talking all about yourself. Things like we're a full service agency or we specialize in this, because at this point, the client doesn't really want to hear about that yet. What they want to hear about is whether or not you understand them. So instead, think back to your discovery call or whatever conversations you've had at this point with them so far, and what did they actually say they wanted? More engagement, more leads, more consistency? Start there. Your intro should feel like you're continuing that conversation. Something like how you're excited to show them how you can help grow their audience or improve their results through social media. You're basically showing them that you listen to their needs and that this proposal has been built especially for them, not just copy and paste it. Then towards the end of your introduction, guide them a little bit and tell them what they're about to read in your proposal, like their goals, a quick audit, your recommendations, and the next step. It sounds really simple, but it immediately makes your proposal feel more structured and intentional. Next, we move on to goals. And this is where you shift from just posting content to actually showing impact. Because saying something like, we'll grow your account, isn't really a goal, it's just a vague promise. Instead, you want to make this measurable and specific. For example, increasing engagement by a certain percentage, driving more traffic to their website, or growing a specific audience segment over a set period of time. This part should come from what the client told you, but also come from what you noticed when you looked at the content, as it's really important to show them that you did your own research. But more on that later. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. It just needs to be clear enough that both you and the client understand what success looks like. What this does is it shows that your work is tied to actual results, not just activity. And it also makes the rest of your proposal feel more focused because now everything links back to these goals. It's important that your client knows that social media isn't just a nice to have, but a vital part of their marketing strategy. Social media directly contributes to business goals and targets. Without engaged users, you fail to capture their attention, and with the shift in search and LLMs, it's super important to position social media as a direct driving force and make sure you're not promising too much at once. It's okay to acknowledge that not everything can be done immediately. It's good to focus on the most important goals first and then create a phased plan. Now, this is where your proposal starts to stand out a bit more, because instead of just, jumping straight into the services, you're showing what you've already taken time to look at their brand. The audit is you showing them that you're an expert in your field and you could already spot areas for improvement. And the most important thing here is balance. You don't want to come in and criticize everything, but you also don't want to ignore the obvious gaps. So start with what's working. Maybe their Instagram stories are really strong, or their TikToks have a few high-performing videos. Point that out first, because it shows respect for what they've already built. Then move on to opportunities. This is where you highlight things like inconsistent posting, missing features like videos or polls, or a lack clear of calls to action. You can also mention which platforms you think should be a priority and which ones aren't doing as much right now. This section does a lot of the convincing for you because you're building a natural bridge between where they are now and what you're about to recommend. Okay, now we're getting into the main part of the proposal. This is where you're going to explain what you're actually going to do for the client. But instead of just listing services, think of this like you're walking the client through how working with you will feel. Start with your core offering and clearly outline what you're responsible for, like content creation, captions, scheduling, and planning. Then explain to them your process a little. A bit like how you plan content in advance, send it for approval, make changes, and then schedule it. This is really important because it removes uncertainty certainty and makes everything feel a little bit more organized. After that, talk about platform selection. Explain why you've chosen certain platforms based on their audience and your audit. Then go into your posting schedule and be specific but also intentional. Don't show them how often you'll be posting, but show them what it actually looks like in terms of formats. Then move on to engagement and show how you'll manage their community, whether that's replying to comments or DMs or actively engaging with other accounts. You can even mention how often you'll do this to make it feel more customized. From there, you can talk about campaigns like seasonal content, promotions, linking customer service, revenue generation, and then analytics and reporting. Make sure to let them know how often they'll get updates and what you'll be tracking. You can also include review meetings to show that the strategy will evolve over time. And one thing that's really useful to include here is optional add-ons, because instead of overwhelming the client, you're giving them a clear core package with the option to expand if they want to, which is just going to make everything feel a little bit more flexible and a lot less salesy. At this point, the client understands what you do, but they're still thinking, does that actually work? So this is where you're going to want to bring in that proof. This could be past clients, case studies, personal projects, or even mock work if you're still building experience. You don't really need massive brands here, you just need something that shows your strategy is actually going to work in practice. Try focusing on results where you can, even if they're small, like growing an account, improving engagement, or creating consistency. This section is all about reassurance because it helps the client feel more confident in your strategy. Now we're at the final part, and this is where you're going to guide the client towards actually saying yes. Start with your next steps and don't leave it open-ended. Tell them exactly what happens next, whether that's reviewing the proposal, signing an agreement, or booking a kickoff call. Make it feel really simple and easy to move forward. Then move into pricing and be as clear and transparent as possible. Break down what's included, how it's structured, and how payments work, because any confusion here can slow things down. And the easier it is to understand, the easier it is for someone to make a decision. And there you have it, a step-by-step on how to create a social media proposal that's going to win over those clients. This structure works well because you're not just listing services, you're guiding the client through a full journey. You're showing them that you understand them, that you've analyzed where they are right now, that you have a clear plan, and that you know how to execute it well. It's not about making your proposal longer or more complicated, it's about making it feel really intentional. And if you want to make this even easier and you haven't already, make sure to download the free social media proposal template in the description. It includes everything we've talked about, from the audit to the goal to the scope of work, and you can customize it and start using it straight away. And if this video helped you, make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know what you want me to cover next. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.